So today we're here to mark the 30th anniversary of volunteers Henry Hogan and Declan Martin, and as you can see there is a huge turnout of both old and particularly young people to mark the memory of both these local volunteers. It's hard to believe for many people 30 years has passed since that occasion when they were brutally killed in the hills around Dunloy. But today is about celebrating their lives, about marking those 30 years. It's good to see the huge amount of young people who have turned out here today, and indeed we have an exhibition which has been a great success in Dunloy over the weekend. So tribute has to be paid to the organisers of that and the parade as well here today. It is great to see the young people that have turned out today for this. It is great to see that 30 years on from what was quite a difficult time throughout North Antrim in terms of the many Republicans that we lost here, that the children of that generation are living in much more peaceful times, and we're now in a much more stronger position than ever in terms of achieving our Republican objectives and a reunified Ireland. And of course none of that would have been achievable without the sacrifices of men like Henry Hogan and Declan Martin from the village here in Dunloy, and many others like them who tragically lost their lives throughout the conflict.
Well, as a Republican who lives in Dunloy, it's obviously vitally important that we come along every year to this commemoration to pay our respects to the two lads, Henry and Declan, but also to show support for the families, you know, and that they're sacrificing. And even though 30 years on, the Republicans are still thinking about the sacrifice that was made here that 1984. I mean, Henry and Declan. Henry was 21, Declan was 18. You know, they're both two young fellas who had their whole lives ahead of them. But unfortunately, the north of Ireland, County Antrim, this part, Dunloy, in 1984, you know, they were experiencing the same kind of things that the Nationalist Republican community were. You know, harassment from the RUC, loyalist sectarianism. You know, Henry and his family were forced out of Ballymena. They were forced out of Ballymoney, and all that was going on in the background. You know, Dunloy had a history of, you know, people standing up for themselves and saying, you know, we aren't going to accept this. The two young lads took the decision to join the IRA, and you know, were two good volunteers in Óglaigh and you know, it ultimately led to the incident that took place here on that night. County Derry and County Antrim are linked, you know, by proximity, but also in terms of republicanism. You know, the people move within both counties. John Davy, on the day that he was assassinated, had just left a notice into the Mid-Ulster Observer newspaper. He drove to Cookstown and back again to leave on a notice about the commemoration that was to take place in Dunloy the week after. Bernard O'Hagan stood on the platform out there as both chair and speaking. John Davy chaired this commemoration for a number of years. So, and Brian Keenan died of natural causes, but spoke down here on 2 or 3 occasions. So I mean, there is that link. This is the murder triangle. You know, we're only a few miles away from Kilrea, where you know, Tommy Donaghy lost his life, Danny Cassidy lost his life. So you know, the British, through their agents and through their appendices, you know, were keen to take out the leadership across County Derry and Antrim. I mean, as I said earlier, Henry and Declan were both young people. If you take a look out round, all those who turned up here today in great numbers, you know, there were so many young people who were here, and that particularly was good to see. As I say, you know, young people no longer have to pay the kind of sacrifices that Henry and Declan did. You know, because of the sacrifices that Henry and Declan and so many others in the ranks of Óglaigh and Hearn were prepared to give. You know, young people today can live their lives. They can look forward. They can plan their future. They can seek employment. They can engage within their communities in many different ways. Now, they are still coming forward to the ranks of the Republican movement. As I say, it's a different kind of sacrifice they have to make. we're particularly lucky in North Antrim that with the elections coming up, we have a number of candidates who are in their early 20s. We have 2 young girls who are 23, we have a young fella who's 24, we have another couple of candidates who are under the 30s. I myself am Stanton, I still consider myself very young. So, as I say, young people are coming forward, young people are prepared to take on the challenges, and it's great that is the case.
It's very important for me as a young person involved in Sinn Féin to be here today to remember volunteers Henry Hogan and Declan Martin and those like them, because these are the people that has inspired myself and many others to become involved in this struggle. And what they went through during the 1980s, there was a different situation to what the struggle is now and to what I would come across in republicanism today. The challenges are there, and we're there to represent our people, and so we're here to face those challenges like Declan and Henry did so many years ago. They faced the challenges, they faced the British, they engaged them in battle, and today Sinn Féin are indeed engaging the British in battle, but in a different way, and I'm willing to go forward and take that struggle forward just as Henry and Declan were in the 1980s. Today was a fantastic turnout, people from across the island coming to remember these volunteers who were young people, just ordinary young people in extraordinary times, and who gave their lives for Irish freedom. This is a very exciting time for particularly young people within Sinn Féin. This is the first time that Sinn Féin will be running candidates across all 32 counties in local government elections, and indeed locally. It's the first time that Sinn Féin will have a candidate represented in Ballymoney town. That just goes to show that our party is going from strength to strength right across the 32 counties of this island, from Ballymoney to Cork to Kerry and Dublin and beyond. We're growing from strength to strength. Our membership is increasing. We wouldn't be where we are today without the sacrifice given by people like Henry Hogan, Declan Martin and Jared Casey over in Reshargan, who were all assassinated by the Crown forces. I would not be in a position today to be able to go be a candidate for Sinn Féin free from the intimidation that these men had to face in their daily lives. So I am forever grateful for the sacrifice that these men have given.
When Declan and Henry were executed in 1984, it was at the height of the Irish military campaign. At that time, a number of British Army undercover units were operating a shoot-to-kill policy, which was cleared at the highest political level. This is part of the problem we're dealing with now in terms of trying to get the British government to buy into House proposals, because they know their role, their activity and the promotion of such a policy will come to the fore in any disclosure of information. A very dangerous time for Republicans on active service, because they knew they weren't going to be arrested if they were caught in such a situation, and volunteers paid the ultimate price and paid the sacrifice for on active service at that particular time. Because they reached the military stalemate, Republicans decided that they need to enter into a new phase of struggle. Negotiations ensued after a long drawn-out process of backdoor talks with the British government. That generated then the Good Friday Agreement of 1998, which gave us the political architecture to pursue a Republican agenda, pursue the Republican struggle in peaceful democratic means, and that made a massive transformation. No longer have young people from a Republican background to lay their lives on line or face the consequences of spending the best years of their life in a prison cell and pursuing Republican objectives, because they now have a political project which is predicated on developing political strength, as I referred to in my speech today, on both jurisdictions on both sides of the border. I have an opportunity in a couple of months' time to increase that mandate and build on past successes and increasing and developing political strength. And that's the means and mechanism for which we will develop a new Ireland. Part of the failure in the past was a lack of development of a radical political base in 26 counties. That's now past us, that's now behind us, and you can see the increases that have been made in terms of electoral strength in the 26. I think this is an exciting time for Republicans, a lot of hard work in front of us, but the potential I think is massive, and I think we have to grasp that potential with both hands. And I know people are up for it, especially our young people. It's great to see so many talented young people, male and female, coming into the party at this particular time, well skilled, well educated, and being able to take the struggle forward. It's in good hands.